Hi students, in this video we are going to cover IIFT form filling guidelines. Now IIFT application deadline closes before the CAT is conducted. So you have to make a decision whether you want to apply to IIFT or not. And in this video I am going to help you with the data from the past which will help you make that decision whether you should apply or not. We'll also of course talk about the detailed form filling guidelines. There are two programs. So the first one is the international business and the second one is business analytics. So for these two programs you have to apply separately and I'll be covering the details of the entire application process in this video. Let's get started. Now first things first, let's talk about the important dates. Now as you can see on screen, the last date of online registration is 28 November. End of the day, you have to make a decision prior to that and complete your entire application. Now the form itself is not very complicated. Most of it is factual information, so it won't take you too much time to fill it. In fact, if you have all the documents ready, you should be able to fill it in about half an hour or so because there are no descriptive questions. The other thing is, which is the list of shortlisted candidates. So that will be announced in last week of Jan. Typically in the end of December, you should have the CAT result. Roughly a month from there, you will be able to have the IIFT shortlist. Now the GD and PI, the group discussion and the interview will be conducted from March 2026. The final result in April 26 and the course will commence from June 26. Now we'll give you this link in the description as well from where you can begin your application process. Now let's talk about the eligibility. So I'm going to talk about the eligibility for the individual programs. There's a slight difference when it comes to the business analytics program. For the international business program, the first is you need to have a bachelor's degree with minimum 3 years duration and it can be in any of the disciplines, that doesn't really matter. Minimum marks is 50%. Now for SC, ST and PWD candidates, that is 45% as the minimum requirement. Even if you're a final year candidate, you should be able to apply, so that is not a problem. But they have given that you need to complete your graduation degree and give all the details by October 26. Now, when it comes to category candidates, so if you look at SC, ST, PWD, NCOBC, EWS candidates or Kashmiri migrants, in this case, wherever applicable, if you have the document, you have to upload that document. So there's a document upload section which we will cover as we progress. There you will have to upload a PDF of the category certificate that you have. Okay, so all of those certificates will be required. Make sure that you keep it with you before you start filling the form. Now let's talk about the intake and the program fees and the application fees for the international business program. Now if you look at the number of seats, you're going to have 240 seats at Delhi as well as Kolkata, and then 120 at the Gift City campus and 120 at Kakinada, right? So these are the total seats that you have for the IB program. Now, if you look at the fee structure, for Delhi, it is 21.82. For Kolkata, it is 21.32. You have some security deposit as well, which is additional that I have not mentioned. And when it comes to Kakinada and Gift City, the thing to keep in mind is, though the fee that you see there is 19.68 lakh, this is excluding lodging and boarding charges. Okay, so that will be additional that you will have to pay if you decide to join at these two campuses. Now for SC, ST and PWD candidates, there's a 50% concession which comes to the tuition fee that you have. The concession is applicable only on that, okay? So it's not on the total expenses of the program. The application fee when it comes to IB program is 3,000 for general and 1,500 for category students. So if you're general, NCOBC, EWS, it is 3,000. SC, ST, PWD and transgender, it is 1,500. Now, when you look at the eligibility for the business analytics program, there is a slight difference. Now, what is the difference? Let's talk about that. Firstly, the bachelor's degree requirement is the same. So 50% is what you need, but the student should have maths or stats as one of the subjects at the graduation level. So you need to have either mathematics or statistics in your graduation subjects. The exact name can be a little different. For example, for some students, the subject could say business statistics or business mathematics. That is okay, as long as you have stats or maths at the graduation level. If you don't have that, so there's a second condition which says, or if you're a candidate who holds, let's say, a BTech or a BE degree in any discipline with the requirement of marks that is there, then also you can apply. Or if you don't have that as well, then if you have a bachelor's degree with minimum 50% and 5 CGP out of 10 with maths as a subject at the 10+2 level. Okay, so if you had mathematics in the 12th standard, then also you can apply. Applied mathematics in 10+2 will not be considered. That is one specific thing that they have mentioned. Now, if you are appearing for the qualifying examination, you can still apply. the way it is for the IB program as well. Now let's talk about intake program and the application fees for the business analytics program. So this is a program which is offered only at the Delhi campus. Now there are 60 seats, the fees is 17.87 lakh. The important thing to keep in mind is this fee covers tuition fee and other charges such as library, computer, etc. And it will be completely non-residential. Okay, so this is not a residential program, it is a non-residential program. So those expenses will be additional. The SC/ST PWD candidates get 50% concession when it comes to the tuition fees. And the application for this particular program is going to cost you 2000 if you're a general, NCOBC or EWS. Otherwise, it will be 1000 rupees. Now for these two, the website through which you make the application is the same. But when you click on the application, when you say, I want to create my account, it will give you two options. I'll show you that screen. So you will have, if you're planning to apply to both the programs, you'll have to register twice. If you're planning to apply to only one of these programs, you'll have to register once. Okay, so let's go through the application process as we progress. Now let's talk about the selection criteria. Now why this is important is because firstly, IIFT is, when you look at the initial shortlisting, it is heavily dependent on your CAT score. So the initial shortlist, this is from last year's weightages, 98% is going to be on the CAT score, and there is 2% that is diversity weightage. So if you're a female candidate, you're going to get additional points. But because 98% is focused on the CAT score, that is the more important part of the whole thing. So you get a very good CAT score, you will get shortlisted. Now, if you look at the sectional cutoffs, and again, this is from last year. If you look at in terms of percentile, what was the sectional cutoff that was required? For general, it was 70 percentile. So you need to have minimum 70 in each of the section. It's not only the overall that matters, but also the sectional. So when you look at EWS and NCOBC candidates, that requirement is 50 percentile. And for SC/ST, PWD, KM and Kashmiri Pandits, that is 25. So sectional cutoff is the first hurdle to clear. Once you have that, of course, the overall percentile that will also matter. Now what you see here is the overall cutoff, and this is taken from the official IIFT document that was released. So what you see is the cutoff for the composite score to get a shortlist is given. So 35, 25 and 15 for each of these three brackets that you see. So general, EWS, NCOBC, and then SC/ST, PWD and so on. So 35, 25, 15. But because this is composite score, we can always back calculate, right? And that will help us decide whether you should apply or not. So let's have a look at that. So this 35, 25 and 15, if you were to kind of back calculate, because the scoring mechanism is given, in terms of score in CAT 24, because again there is a differentiation between male and female, it would have been 73 for male and 69 for female for the general candidates. Now if you calculate the percentile for that particular score, that would be around 96 for male and 95 for female. Speaking for EWS and NCOBC, score would have been 52 for male and 48 for female. So that's roughly about 4 marks support or benefit that you're getting if you're a female candidate because of the diversity points that are there. Correspondingly, the percentile would have been 87.5 for males and 84.7 for female. And when you look at SC/ST, PWD, Kashmiri migrant and Kashmiri Pandits, then 32-27 would have been the score respectively for male and female, which would have translated into a percentile of about 68.6 and 61.2 respectively for males and females. So when you look at this table, what you need to understand is this is based on last year. Of course, this year things can change a little bit. Now we also know that the number of CAT registration has gone down, right? So that may have some impact on the entire thing. Of course, the competition at the top doesn't really change even if the number of takers goes down, but things will look slightly different. So the figures won't stay exactly the same. They might always change. So don't take complete decision on the basis of this, right? So what you need to understand is this is something that happened in the last year. So basis my current SimCAT scores or my predicted CAT percentile, if it is falling in this range, I will definitely apply, right? So if you are scoring, let's say if you're a male candidate, consistently getting, let's say, a 96 plus percentile, or your predicted CAT percentile is more than 96, then applying to IIFT makes sense. Okay, now which programs to apply for and which campuses to select, that's a separate discussion. But if you are sitting in this particular percentile range, the last two columns is what you should focus on. If you belong to any of these categories, then you should apply. But if you are consistently below these numbers, right? So your predicted CAT percentile is less than this, or you are not very sure whether I'll be able to hit in this particular range or not, then you can skip IIFT. Okay, so think about it, take some time. You have a decent amount of time before you take this decision. So go through your past SIMCATs that you have taken, your predicted CAT percentile, and this particular table, and make a decision based on it. Okay. Now let's talk about the final selection criteria. So when you look at what will happen post the shortlist, right? So after the shortlist is announced, in the final selection, your CAT 24 score will matter. So this is CAT 24 because it's for the batch of 25-27. For the next year's batch, things could be slightly different. Again, they can always change the weightages. But what happened last year was CAT score had 48% weight. GD plus PI combined, so 21-22 respectively, 43% weight total for that. Then gender diversity was 3 points, academic diversity was 3 points given to non-engineers, and they are also given a list of what will be considered as engineering, what will be falling under non-engineering. Okay. Then work experience is 3. How they evaluate work experience is using this table. So if you are less than 12 months, you don't get any points. But if it is between 12 to 24, then 2 points out of 3, 24 to 36 is 3 on 3. And then it starts going down for every 12-month bracket. So 36 to 48 is 2, 48 to 60 is 1. And then if you're more than 60, it becomes 0, which is as good as somebody with less than 12 months of experience. So in the interview, panelists, what they also do is they give you a work experience score, and then they take a product of what you get from this table and what the faculty has given you, divide it by 10, and use that in the work experience score calculation, which is given here, which is out of 3. So that is how they evaluate the work experience. But right now, again, you need not worry too much about it. Alright, now that concludes the discussion on whether you should apply to IIFT or not. Now let's talk about the actual form. Okay, so the form, as I said, not very difficult. Possibly within half an hour you should be able to fill it comfortably if you have all the documents. So firstly, on the website you have to click here, which is fresh candidate login. Once you click on it, it will show you this too. Okay, so it will show you MBA International Business at the 4 campuses, and then MBA Business Analytics at Delhi campus. So let's say you are somebody who's planning to apply to only one of these programs, maybe this. So you click on this, complete the entire application process. If you're planning to apply to only this, you click on this and complete the entire application. If you're planning to do both, you will have to click here, complete the process, then click here and complete the entire process. So you will create 2 accounts if you're planning to apply to these 2 programs. The name, the email ID, the mobile number, password that you create, all of that can be exactly the same. So that is not a problem. But next time when you want to come and log in, you click here on the remaining whatever registration process, or I want to log in. Again, it will show you these 2 screens. And then depending on which program or programs you have applied for, you can log in and modify the information. Okay, so these are 2 separate applications. Don't think that it is a singular application or integrated application. These are 2 separate applications if you're applying to IB program and the BA program. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll take you through the entire IB process. The BA process is exactly the same. The form is pretty much same completely, with one little additional thing which I will show you at the end of the video. So when it comes to IB, the first question that you start with is name of the candidate, the application number, everything that is star marked is mandatory. So CAT application number, you have to re-enter it, then date of birth, re-enter it, and then you have gender and category selection that you need to do. Post which there's a question on whether you're a PWD candidate. Again, yes, no. If you select yes, then you have to specify the category. Then email ID, re-enter the email ID, put a password, you can set a password of your choice, re-enter it, and then it gives you these questions whether you have read and understood everything. Say yes, yes, and then you create your account, because whatever information you enter, you will not be able to modify it at a later point of time. So once you create the account, it will show you the login screen. You will also get a mail from IIFT that your user has been created with this email ID and this particular password. Then you use the email and password to log in. Once you log in, it will show you this screen which will detail out the steps that you need to complete. So step 1 is application form filling, step 2 is uploading photo and signature, 2A is uploading documents, then 3 is making payment, and 4 is printing application. As you complete these processes, then it will put a tick. Okay, so once you complete fill application, this will turn green. Now let's start with the first part, which is the application form. The first thing that they have asked for is the personal details. Now in personal details, name of the candidate will get auto-populated. Then you have to enter mother's name, father's name, date of birth. Date of birth will get auto-populated. No need to enter that. Then city for GDPI. So there are 10 options given as to where you want to appear for your GD and PI process. And then comes the campus preference. Now, when it comes to campus preference, go with the order in which the campuses got established, right? So that's the simplest thing that you can do. So you start with Delhi, then you enter Kolkata, then you enter Kakinada, and then you enter Gift City, right? So that is the order in which you will put your preferences. Gender, again, it will populate your gender. Nationality is what you need to enter. Then category, again, will get auto-populated from what you entered previously, and the PWD answer that you had previously given. Okay. Now, nature of disability is what you'll have to mention. If you have given yes, then percentage of disability and whether you have the disability certificate. If you have selected no for this, these questions will not be asked to you. The next section is on your communication address and so on. So present address is what you need to mention. City, state, pin code, pretty standard thing. Nothing too complicated here. Email ID, alternate email ID and mobile number. These are optional questions. You have to have email ID and mobile number. Email ID anyway you gave at the beginning when you created the account. Mobile number is what you'll have to specify here. Post that, put a tick there, and you can say save and proceed to fill the rest of the form. Now the next is qualification. It's a single long table. If you're using it on a smaller screen, you might not even be able to see the whole thing in one single screen. So do like a control minus 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 to see the whole thing. So here it's a singular table. So the rows that you see here relate to rows given here. Okay. So for 10th standard, you start with the 10th qualification. So board, university, subjects. You can list down the subjects. You can put a comma and enter multiple subjects. So if you had 5 subjects, you can actually enter 5 subjects there. Then year of passing, marking scheme, percentage, or whether you're promoted without marks, etc. So all of those options are given. Then obtained and maximum, this will get auto calculated. Okay. Now for 10 plus 2 as well, pretty much the same thing. So not going to detail it out. But here you will have options such as science, commerce, arts, and so on. For graduation, again, name of the degree will you have drop down there. You can select that. Board, specialization, for example, it could be commerce or management or whatever it may be. Year of passing, if you say I'm appearing, then it will not ask you these questions. So these questions will become blank. You will not be able to enter anything if you say appearing. Now, one important thing that they have given is for computing the percentage of marks, the total of all the subjects is supposed to be taken. You're not supposed to do anything like best of 5, best of 6, or whatever be the case. All the subjects that appear on the mark sheet, the way you follow for CAT application form, exact same thing you have to do here, right? So everything that appears on your mark sheet, you have to select that, you have to consider that to calculate your final marks. Then comes the section on work experience. So do you have work ex? Yes, no, firstly. If you don't have anything, no follow-up questions. If you say yes, you see this screen where you have to enter and you can have multiple experiences. Date from, date to, type of organization, like a private sector, government organization, and so on. The name of the organization, location, what was your designation, the gross monthly salary, and the nature of job, whether it was full-time or part-time, right? So that is something that you can enter. Now, work experience will be till 30th September 2025. Okay, so it's not like a future date. It is 30th September 25, as on which they will consider work ex. Then photograph and signature, very simple section. I hope by now all of you have a small size photograph and signature file with you. You can easily upload that. The limit is 100 KB for both photo and signature. They have given some specifications. You can go through it. I hope all of you have a photo, so need not worry too much on that. Then you click here, which is I've read the entire application and so on and whatever, and then you click on save and proceed. Now in the upload document section, how many documents you need to upload will depend on what choices you have made previously, right? So if you have given, for example, you belong to a category, you will have to upload category certificate. If you belong to PWD category, you will have to upload that certificate. So here you can see 10th, 12th, 12th, again 12th is equivalent to diploma. So if you have a diploma, then that becomes 12th standard for you. Then graduation or professional qualification mark sheet, work experience certificate. But if you don't have that, then joining letter, last salary slip, joining plus relieving letter. So that is something that can be uploaded. If you have multiple experiences, you put all of it in one single file and then upload it. For each of these, there's a file size limit as well. For the first 3, you see 300 KB. For work experience, because you may have multiple experiences, they have given a 5 MB as the file limit. Then caste certificate, disability certificate, because I had selected those. And then any additional document that you may want to upload. So there could be some other document that some candidates might need that you can upload here. So now application form at this point of time has not been submitted. You need to go through the entire application form, so you can do a preview. And in that preview, if you spot a mistake, just rectify it. But make sure that you submit only after you have thoroughly checked all the entries that you have made in the form. Once you do this, it will ask you for payment. Do you want to proceed for payment? And post this, you'll not be able to make any changes. So be careful about this. Then I've read the entire thing, etc. And then you submit. Now, once you submit, it will show you this screen. So name, city, mobile number, category. So all the information that you had given, and then you can proceed to payment. So it shows 1500 because I had chosen category. But if you're a general candidate, that would show you 3000 rupees. Then it will show you a screen like this. So these three things are done. I'm yet to make the payment. So I make the payment and then I'm done with it. So I can print my application. Now, what is different in business analytics? So this concludes the IB application. So once you have made the payment, once you have printed the application, you're done with IB application. If you decide to apply to the business analytics program as well, you will have to start from the beginning, and on that page you will have to click on MBA Business Analytics and follow the exact same process that we have done so far. The form is exactly the same. Where is the difference, however, that in the qualification details you have these two extra questions, because that is the core eligibility of this particular program. So it says whether you have studied mathematics as a subject in 10+2, it's a yes no question, and whether you have studied maths or stats as a subject in graduation, again it's a yes or no question. So because this is the eligibility of the program, that is an additional thing that they have asked in the business analytics application. Otherwise, rest of the form is exactly the same. Okay. So in this video, we covered the entire form filling guidelines and whether you should apply or not. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me through the comment section and I'll try and get back as soon as possible. Again, on the IIFT page, they have given the help desk. So if there are any technical questions or particular IIFT concerns that you may have, you can reach out to IIFT directly for that. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this has helped you and wish all of you all the best. I'll see you soon in some other video. Bye and take care.